Welcome back to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football, Part 5 of 8 with our Division Breakdown Series. We are back with the NFC West. I'm at Nick Sparts. Dan Thury across the table from me.
At Thury BFF. What's up, guys?
To my left, Christopher Hopper. I don't believe on call this episode.
I am on call this episode.
Oh, damn.
And there's that.
What's up? At Hot BFF with 2 Ps. It's at least been quieter than the last time I tried to do this. Knock on wood. We'll hope it stays that way.
And joining us, representing the NFC West, Cardinals fan, is at Travis NFL, Travis Rasmussen, host of the Superflex Show on Twitter. They are now part of the DLF family of podcasts.
Travis.
What's up, guys? Happy to be here.
Hey, buddy.
Zoned out during your own intro?
Yeah. So, a couple other things about Travis. He is the co-host of the Superflex Show, as mentioned, formerly the Superflex Super Show. Sorry about that.
We're extra super.
Oh, super.
Extra super.
He is a Chris Warren III truther, and he has a wondrous beard. Important stuff.
And my placenta brother.
That's right, Dan.
If you don't listen to his show, you do not get that reference whatsoever.
So listen to their show because it's entertaining and good stuff.
Placenta.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
A couple other quick shout-outs. We are still doing sign-ups for the Dynasty Listener League. If you want to email us at beerfueledfantasy@gmail.com with one of 3 things to get an entry. You can do all 3 things and get 3 entries total. A screenshot of you liking us on Facebook, a screenshot of you subscribe to us on YouTube, and a screenshot of you dropping a review on iTunes. Send up to all 3 of those to me. I will get you on the list. We have enough people signed up to do a full 16-team listener league, but I want enough so that we can do a Selection Sunday thing on YouTube.
Yep. And also, just so you're aware, there will be a redraft league announcement coming in 2 weeks.
So right after we do the drawing for this one?
Yep. Coming in July. We'll tell you how to qualify for redraft if you don't want the commitment of Dynasty. And keep an eye on our Twitter, at BeerfieldFF, because there will be a poll to decide what we want the wrinkle to be this year. Last year, we did 16-team with super deep rosters. This year, who knows? I got a couple ideas. We'll figure it out.
Punter's
on there. A version of TD only is on there. We've got IDP that could go there.
All right, so it should be something interesting that none of us will be good at.
Yeah, no.
They'll need a lot of luck. All right, perfect.
I want to expose people to new types of fantasy football, so I try to keep it non-traditional.
Superflex, perhaps?
It could be Superflex. The Dynasty League is. We'll see if the redraft is.
And then also at that same place, Beerfueled FF on Instagram and Untapped, where you can get pictures of our can art, and also you can follow our beer reviews that Hopper will drop after every episode.
I've been a lot better with Instagram.
You have been.
You can see our can art. I've been fucking around with.
So this one's
pictures.
up on Instagram already.
This one is
cool. And I typically have been dropping the Untapped reviews night of or next day, so they're usually out there before the episodes drop.
Yep, so you can get a preview as to what we're going to do as our beer preview.
Yep.
Speaking of
Beer Fuel.
I like the transition. You don't normally do that. It's normally like making a 180-degree hairpin turn on a dime. It's just...
He was so proud of himself
Boom.
for it, too. He's like, look at this.
On
Watch
the
what I'm
next
about to do.
subject.
I want to see you stress those ACLs doing sharp turns.
I already hurt my shoulder this week putting my shoe on. So
Hopper's already cute.
that's where we're at.
All right, we've got Ripple White Ale by Four Hands Brewing Company out of St. Louis, Missouri, because fuck Stan Kroenke. St. Louis is still a NFC West town. This is their 6th time on the show, so we will having a bit of a hiatus after this episode, I
Holy
believe.
crap, I thought it was their 4th.
6th.
Woof. I thought you said 4th in group chat. Yep, they will be gone for at least 6 months after this.
You guys are totally playing favorites here. I don't like it at all.
We are, and I didn't even realize we were. We just like Four Hands is close, and we like it a lot.
Yeah, unless they want to start paying us, in which case they can come on whenever they'd like to. Ripple White Ale is a 5% ABV ale with a hint of orange. We'll give you a full review once we get through the first 2 teams in the NFC West. But up first, we got a couple news items for you guys.
News.
Wait, I'm sitting in the line now. It drops.
Got the new remix version going on. Las Vegas Journal Review reports Raiders fear imminent league discipline from Martavis Bryant. It could be related to his substance abuse policy issue.
Oh boy.
Who's
more things
who's surprised?
change, the more they stay the same.
Hashtag shocked.
Yep.
So
it's impending. Roger Goodell is coming down the aisle. to lay the smackdown on Martavis Bryant.
All right. So do you think he will get suspended, just knowing his history?
Yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire.
I want to know what it is first, but
Do
probably.
we know? Yeah, that was my question. Do we know what has even happened?
No,
Did he fail a drug test?
Purely rumor.
Okay.
Normally we don't include these, but since it's a possible year-long suspension,
Well,
we
there's,
figure this was
like-
worth bringing up.
Adam Scheffner, I think, brought it up too. So when he said something, it goes beyond just rumor.
Yeah, it's at least quite a bit of
Yeah.
smoke.
Someone's talking.
I mean, honestly, I wasn't looking to draft Martavis and redraft this year anyways, so I don't know about you guys, but this doesn't really change much for me.
he was going late enough that I might have considered kicking the tires on it, but if
He was like a 14th round. I think it was pretty high.
Yeah, I'm with Travis. I did not care to even look his way anyway, so.
he was going in the 11th, which I wouldn't have been that interested anyway.
It's like running into your ex in the bar. You just avoid it completely. Don't look that way. Don't speak. Try to get out of there as soon as you
You
can.
literally stop on a dime and you pull a 180, and then you injure your shoulder while tying your shoes.
I was putting them on, not tying them.
And who does
Oh,
this?
my bad.
And who does this help more, Nelson or Cooper, or someone
I
else?
don't know if it.
A little bit of both. Probably.
Yeah, both. I mean, it helps the Cooper breakout. It helps my Derek Carr hate too. So there's that.
Is Ryan
Right there with you.
Is Ryan Switzer an option for that?
He is there.
Because if it forces
He
Jordy,
is there.
well, if it forces Jordy, my thought is that if it forces Jordy back outside instead of in the slot and Switzer to run out of the slot, then that helps him.
What about Seth Roberts?
He might not even make the team, is the rumor I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Good.
I don't care about Seth Roberts.
Switzer would be interesting. Roberts would not be. All right. Coach Marvin Lewis hinted Tyler Eifert may not be ready for training camp with a back issue.
Hashtag shocked.
I know this news is so surprising. This
Like these
episode.
first two things are like, okay.
Yeah,
Yay, Tyler Croft.
He had the back surgery early last year. I'm not buying it.
Buying him.
Yeah, I mean,
you
again,
What was
another
it-
guy wasn't really looking to draft and redraft anyway.
No, what was the quote? Like, how did he hint at it?
This is straight what I copied from Roto World. I will have to double check and see if I can find
Yeah,
it. One moment.
How did he hint at it is what I want to know. It's Marvin freaking Lewis. Do you believe anything that comes out of his mouth?
More than I believe things that come out of the Colts or Dolphins organizations.
Andrew Luck's throwing a football.
Why is that in the news? That's like more important than the three things you put down.
How does that? That's not in the news.
No, Luck threw a football.
All right, you
folks.
guys talk about that
It was
while
a
I find
high
the quote.
school football, but he threw a fucking football.
And apparently off camera, he has thrown a full-size football.
And like he was throwing to 350-pound T.Y. Hilton. I think that's who it was.
Hilton let himself go. It's bad.
But
Did you guys see that video?
yeah. Oh, I watched it like 30 times. It was bad.
I had tweeted that out like, oh, that receiver though, and one of my followers was like, "Is that CeeLo Green?" It's so awesome, dude.
Fuck.
But yeah, no, Luck. I mean, guys, it's Andrew Luck.
And so
He's throwing a football. It's all good, guys.
yeah.
Everything's
Everything's
going to work out.
Every little thing's gonna be all right.
So in the news statement that they posted on Roto World, they did not include an exact quote. So I do not have it.
Right. Okay.
We're still talking about Tyler Eifert.
Yeah, I said I was going to get the quote.
I was being
I'm
a
just
skeptic.
kidding, Nick.
All right, and one last piece of news. Saints signed running back Terrence West, formerly of the Ravens. Looks like he'll be the Ingram replacement.
Does
he?
it though?
I still believe in Jonathan Williams.
Yeah, me too. And Boston Scott's been getting a little bit of hype out of there as a
No.
freak athlete guy.
Sounds like a breed of dog.
I mean, Boston Scott.
Like a Boston Terrier, but like
So do you-
like Terrier and Scotty.
Do you guys think? I mean, Nick, you view him as the Ingram replacement coming in?
I think he'll be most likely to get the most touches just because they actually paid him money and brought him in here.
What's his contract?
They also
look
were
like,
they
though?
also were kicking the tires into Marco Murray and stuff as well as possibly bringing him in. So I think they are looking for the Ingram replacement.
Jonathan Williams.
Jonathan
Yeah.
Williams.
I think they could also just be looking for depth. I mean, you lose a running back, you got to sign a running back.
The Saints.
Uh,
Saints love
That does
having,
not add up at all.
Saints love having Saints love having like 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs on the roster. So
Yes.
I think this is just like as Travis said, it's just a depth thing.
I mean,
He could. I mean, either one of those guys could. I think it's probably either Terrence West or Jonathan Williams, in my opinion, for those first 4 weeks. But either way, I mean, is it someone we really? Is it someone that's going to get enough work to even matter?
No.
No.
I think Kamara gets the bulk of it. I know Sean Payton's kind of anti let's use one back, but I still think Kamara just gets a bump. And
he's going to look at Kamara. He's going to look at everyone else on the roster and go, fuck it.
Cut them all. Cut them all. Oh, Game of Thrones.
All right. That's enough for the news. We're going to hit it with the division breakdown for the NFC West.
You had some troubles with that.
I did.
You want a do-over?
No, we don't edit.
Division preview.
I'm a left-handed air guitar player right now because if I had done that with my left shoulder, I would have cried.
We don't need you
and
crying
that beer
on
would
air.
have probably been all over me.
Just have been sad all around.
So many tears.
Sad day.
We don't need to have a crying episode, at least not until a major injury happens.
We already had that.
All right, so we predicted the order of finish to be the Rams finishing first, 49ers coming in second, Seahawks third, and unfortunately, Travis's Cardinals look like they're bringing up the back of the pack in the season. Travis, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I'm going to make a case for them not finishing last, but, you can chalk it up to homerism if you want to.
Does that case involve Sam Bradford being healthy for the full season?
It involves, so basically, Sam Bradford, in my opinion, is going to play as long as he is healthy.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's a guarantee that is 2 games or 4 games or whatever. If he's healthy for 10, he's going to play for 10, in my opinion.
I predicted it to be 5.
Well, that's fair.
That's fair enough. We know. My point is, we don't really know, though.
Yeah, nobody knows.
He could play 13 for all we know. And my biggest argument for the Cardinals is, you guys basically, Dan and Hopper have them at 5-11. Sorry, spoiler alert. Nick has them at 4-12. And my whole argument is, last year they finished 8-8. With 9.5 games of Blaine Gabbert and Drew Stanton and no David Johnson all season long. So you bring in Sam Bradford, you get David Johnson back, you sign a couple offensive linemen. They're not anything to write home about, but they're starter quality level. And I just don't see how the 8-8 team from last year drops down 3 or 4 wins.
All right, well, I'll get to my full argument when we actually get to the
I will
Cardinals
too.
here.
I've got one, but
I
I'll
don't
wait
really
till we
wanna-
get there.
Oh, my bad. I miss.
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
You're good. You're
No,
good.
I just don't want to get into a whole our
You're
part of this. and
excited.
tangent
We
this.
get it.
We don't.
You're just excited.
We don't really have a format here, so
True.
I'm the opposite of excited, Dan.
All right, well, let's kick it off with the Rams, who we all picked to finish
He's a
first.
sad boner.
First this season, a very productive offense overall last year, 14th for quarterback in points per game, 4th for running back, 3rd for wide receiver, thanks to that Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp breakout. Let's start off with the top of the depth chart, though. What do we see Jared Goff doing in 2018?
first off, can I just start on the overarching thing? Did you see what they're doing at offensive coordinator?
No.
They have 2 of them.
Oh,
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
they've got Aaron Cromer for the run and Shane Waldron handling the pass. And the guy that's handling the passing work was historically a running backs coach.
Well, this should.
So,
this will go great.
This will go great.
no, I think it just means that McVay's the offensive coordinator and calling the play.
In all
That's
but,
what I was just going to say. Yeah.
in all but name only.
Yeah. All right. Jared Goff, though, I think he probably maintains a lot of his numbers and gets a slightly longer leash on the offense. What I mean by that, I don't mean he was in danger of being pulled, but I think he was used in a lot of safe passing situations when you look at his numbers from last year. So I think the handcuffs kind of come off of him a little bit more. The 5.9 touchdown rate was a tad high, but I think he's safe and that they will let him throw it. Cousins was usually high 4s as far as his TD rate when he was playing with McVay, so I could see that kind of being where, Goff might settle out. I don't expect him to be at 5.9 again. We talk about TD rate a lot on the show and what's good and what's not, so I'll spare that argument, but 5.9 is high. And the interception rate was absurdly low, but that is a product of this offense. McVay is really good about setting up his quarterbacks to not turn the ball over. Cousins was always insanely low. So for Goff, I think it's more of the same, maybe a little boost even from Cooks showing up.
Yeah, I expected that he'd probably see a slight bump in his points per game from a volume standpoint, but his efficiency is probably going to drop. I think his interception rate probably jumps up slightly. Should also see a slight regression in his touchdown rate, which should probably keep him right about where he was last year. He's 12th in my rankings, and he was 12th in points per game last year.
He's my QB 14. I expect a little bit of regression. He had 28 touchdowns last year. I think that dropped just a bit with Sammy Watkins not there anymore, who was hyper efficient in the red zone when he had his targets.
Yeah, I didn't realize he had 8 touchdowns until I went and looked at the
Yeah, it
Chiefs.
was
On 70 targets. That's nuts.
he
6
caught
end zone targets.
What?
6 end zone targets.
Mm-hmm.
He had 7 for 7. He had 7 red zone, and he caught all 7 of them for touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I think there might be a slight dip, but just like you guys said, this is a high-powered offense. They may not finish number 1 in points per game like they did last year, but they're going to be at least top 7, top 8, and Goff is smart. I think he was like 15th interceptable passes and danger plays, so he doesn't take those deep risks because he doesn't need to. This offense is built through Todd Gurley, and Goff will make the throws that he needs to.
Travis.
Yeah, I'm on board with all of that. I think that Goff is slightly overrated. And I mean, as far as Dan, you just said it, like that offense runs through Todd Gurley. Sean McVay's creative enough to use Goff the right way as a game manager plus who's going to finish. I have him kind of more towards that 15 to 18 range, honestly. I think there's some decent regression coming for him statistically, but I still think the offense is going to be very, very good.
Yeah, I initially had him at 16, which to me says that he's in that streamer conversation every week like he was last year. And if you're playing Superflex, just to throw you a bone, he's a really good QB2 to have.
I agree. And he was really good against bad defenses, and he struggled against good ones. And the Rams are going to face a lot better defenses when you finish number 1 in your division. And you get
a couple more.
We get the Vikings, Saints, and
Jags.
and Eagles, and I think they put the AFC South,
which would be the Jags,
Houston.
Yep.
You got to go and get up against the vaunted Cardinals defense too.
That's twice.
So
whoever Patrick Peterson's on, fade them.
So he is going 909, and he's the 11th quarterback off the board. So I probably will not own a lot of Goff this year, but it's close to where I think he should be going.
I'm off on Goff.
There's about 3 more guys I like in that range.
Yeah, he's going a similar range to like Stafford, and
I'd take Stafford every day.
Forget a few other guys. I think Luck's in that range too.
There's a lot of quarterbacks I'd much rather have in that range.
Yeah, I would take those guys over Goff. All right, moving on to the running game. Todd Gurley, first in points per game last year, finished as a rocket to finish up the season. Where do you guys have him in your rankings, and what do you project for him trying to repeat his 2017?
So I can't actually answer this one honestly without the whole caveat of this is just a gut feel because I actually projected them.
He's my 102. Or he's my second, so my 102. When you look at his advanced metrics on playerprofile.com, it's hard to find what he did bad because there's so very few of it. But he struggled against sack fronts, 0.3 yards per carry, 49th in the league. Or 49th amongst running backs. He struggled to create for himself 1.16 yards per carry, and he only had a 24.5% juke rate. It's not bad, but it's more average. And that's about it.
He's not going to juke you out of your shoes, though. That's not his game.
Exactly.
He is my running back, too. He's the only running back in the last 20 years besides Marshall Faulk to pull 80 targets at a 12.3 yards per reception clip. So I see his targets and his yards per, reception jumping down. I wanted to project fewer carries, but in the end, I really didn't think I could because I think the Rams are going to be up late in a lot of games, but they're going to be close enough to where they have to keep the offense going. So they're not going to bench him, in other words. And I also think that they're fighting for playoff positioning in week 17 and don't just have the freebie in week 17 this year.
Yeah, and it's not like they...
So overall, if you're still playing in week 17, you're wrong. But just in case.
They didn't invest in a high backup anyways. I mean, I know they have John Kelly and something called Mac Brown, but I don't... That's not... I mean, we like... Or as I really care, we like John Kelly, but his 6th-round draft capital isn't going to scream, I'm going to take 90 to 100 touches away from him.
No, it's not. And he was top 2 in goal line touches and red zone touches, and the Rams didn't add a red zone threat, and in fact, they subtracted 1. So,
yeah. All right. Well, in case you guys didn't take everything, Travis, anything to add?
Nope.
We should let him start with
Yeah,
somebody.
No, you're good.
At a certain point, I'm like, all right, are we going to let Travis speak here with you two?
I'm
we
just
get excited.
I'm
Nick,
just
come
used to
on.
people jumping in.
He is the 101 in
Yeah,
ADP.
you guys are really bad on calling on people.
We don't call on people.
Yeah, we don't.
ever.
Just kidding.
He is the number 1 in ADP. It sounds like we all have him ranked second. Who's all your number 1 running backs?
I have Bell.
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 All right,
I actually think I might go. I mean, you could see Gurley finishing 1 or 4 if all 4 of those guys stay healthy. I mean, they're so close.
yeah, they are.
That's why you
So
want the 104 this year in redraft leagues.
Yeah, just take
Right.
whoever falls to you and you get a higher pick in the second round.
Yep.
And then if he does have a handcuff, who you guys betting on? And Travis, you're kicking this one off.
I think on it, man, it's probably John Kelly. I mean, we all want it to be John Kelly, but I liked Malcolm Brown before. And it's not like John Kelly was drafted with any sort of significant draft capital. So I could see it being kind of a split role there. But you probably I'd go with the shiny new toy and John Kelly.
He should also be the better pass catcher, I think. So that should
He
help
will
him.
be. I think it starts out RBBC, and then whoever just becomes better will take that role over.
I was also looking at my rankings wrong. He is my RB1 over Bell by 7 points.
Okay. That's a close
That's
projection.
a very close projection.
Yeah.
That just says how good these top 4
The
are.
first 4 are all within 8 points of each other
Dang. Okay.
That's incredible.
for different reasons.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to the wide receivers. I'm assuming. Well, I should say, who is your top ranked receiver on this team?
I have Woods
Robert
by
Woods.
1 spot over Cooks.
I've got Cooks.
I also have Cooks as my highest by actually a decent amount. Quick reasoning for me is every single season he's always had over 100 targets if he's played all 16 games. Watkins in the same role last year had 70, so I think he's gonna demand more targets, so he'll pull up that 30, 40 point jump. That should pull targets from Woods and Kupp, which makes Cooks my number 1 on this team.
Yeah, and for me, I know that I said I don't like the way it lines up with Goff's game, but I think in New England that he showed that he can be more than just the deep threat. 14.1 yards per reception for his career. He had a lower catch rate last year, but ultimately, I think he just gets the volume. I think that 8.5 yards per target was what Watkins had last year, which is not exactly stretching the field. So I just think it's a volume thing. I still like Woods, but he's virtually a lock to always miss time, and I don't like projecting people based on that. But he's got 1 16-game season, 2 14-game seasons, a 13 and a 12. Woods does, and he's going to lose some target volume. So I think he's going to work deep less with Cooks there. Also, Woods will, which kind of helped him in a couple games where he broke off some big receptions and some big touchdown runs that drove his numbers up. So I just think that it's a volume thing for Cooks, and that edges him over Woods.
Woods was the wide receiver 39 before he had his breakout, so he wasn't. I mean, he was more of a safe floor play, which is why we liked him, and that's also the same with Kupp. I like the Cooks move, especially for the just as an NFL move, because Cooks fills the deep threat role better than what Watkins did last year, and I think Cooks is also the future of this Rams receiving core, which I think they're going to show that more this year as well, as Watkins came through in a trade mid to late August, and he didn't have a lot of time to work with Goff. I just find it hard to trust it because I think Goff's going to take the easier chances here, and I think he's built better rapport with both Woods and Kupp at this point, and it's just hard to guess. I have them all within, I think, 10 spots of each other.
I must be the weird one then because I got quite a bit bigger split. Travis, what's your argument for Woods over Cooks?
I was just going to say, I think I might actually be changing my mind.
We do that well.
So my initial thought is Woods over Kupp and redraft, or Woods over Cooks, but I think that actually might be really, really freaking silly. I mean, Cooks is a really good player. I've never been high on him in Dynasty. I think he's kind of, he's kind of limited. I don't want people to think I'm saying he's a limited player, but he just a little tiny bit. And my biggest hang up with Cooks is Goff is not a great downfield passer, but I mean, Cooks is a better receiver than Woods. And I think it might just be as simple as that. So to say that Woods is going to finish ahead of him might end up being a silly statement. I think I might go Cooks. and his ADP right now is kind of, I mean, it's 5th round. I'd take Brandin Cooks in the 5th round.
I was just about to ask you guys that. Who would you rather want given their ADP? Cooks at 504 or Woods at 708?
Well, given the ADP, I'll take Woods.
But that's where this really starts with the two. Cooks is also a little boom busty. I mean, that was the big argument for us last year when we had this conversation when he went to New England.
Weren't you the one that was arguing against that last year?
I was, and then I looked at it, and it was true. He had 5 wide receiver 1 finishes, and he had 6 wide receiver 4 or worse finishes. So, I mean, that's what you're going to get from him.
Yeah, he's gonna be frustrating, but he can also straight up.
I still won that shot bet too.
You did win that shot bet
because I don't give a fuck.
He's always frustrating to own, which is why I don't like to own him. But if you're asking me,
who?
Brandin Cooks.
Cooks, okay.
But if you're asking me to put a throw on at the end of the year, who's going to end up as the better wide receiver? It's Cooks.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
All right,
I agree with you there.
It came down to it. And Robert Woods had this quote unquote breakout season last year. He had 56 catches for 781 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yep.
I mean,
all in like 3
that's
weeks.
not something, right? I mean, but that's not a guy I want as, my wide receiver 2 by any means. So, I mean, Cooks has never had a season even close to that.
All right, well, let's go ahead and kick it into the slot here and talk about Cooper Kupp. How are we feeling about him in 2018?
You want to talk about what's his ADP, Dan?
812. He's in between them.
No, he's a third.
He's the third
He's
one.
the third one. I'm sorry.
I'll take him because he's a solid guy that I can roll into my flex on bye weeks, and if somebody gets hurt, he's basically the perfect wide receiver for Goff's game. He was 3rd in yards after catch, 19th in separation. He works over the middle, so there's room to improve his catch rate, but his contested catch rate wasn't bad, and I just think he's a great fit as a receiver for Goff. He's almost always a lock for 5 to 7 targets a game, and he's a safe guy. And when you talk about Cooks being boom bust and being frustrating to own, and Robert Woods doing it all in 3 weeks, I think Cooper Kupp's the guy that's going to give you some consistency. And if I can get him in the 8th round as my 3rd or even 4th wide receiver at that point, then yeah, I'm all about that.
He also led the team in red zone targets.
He did,
and
I do think that fades slightly.
I don't think it does though, because Woods is. I don't know how big Woods is. I don't have that up. But Watkins was their best red zone guy, and he's gone, and Cooks isn't a red zone guy.
I will get to my reasoning for that in a moment.
Gerald Everett?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Travis?
But that's one guy, though.
Travis, any thoughts on Kupp?
No.
Okay.
All right.
That was quick.
So there's got 2 tight ends on the team, Gerald Everett and Tyler Higbee. I'm personally betting on Everett here because I liked his profile coming out of college. He was a 2nd-year draft pick in a very, very good tight end class last year. What do we think of him in year 2?
I want to like him, but when I look at it, the tight ends themselves, even as a whole, weren't necessarily targeted enough to make me excited. Proportionally, Everett did get used in the red zone more, and I think that he does stand to see some benefit from the Watkins departure, but his usage in between the 20s and the tight ends usage in between the 20s in general, especially with Todd Gurley plus 3 other viable wide receivers there, really concerns me. I know McVay and Reed went well together. Both tight ends are viable receiving tight ends. Higbee and Everett both have proven that they can do it and flashes that they can do it, but consistently they weren't used that way last year. Neither one of them, and even as the combination of the 2 of them. So for a redraft, I kind of want to avoid this, but if I'm, doing what we talked about and I miss out on the first couple tight ends and I'm looking at a Rams tight end as one of my 2 late round flyers, or even just at like 2 late round flyers for a tight end, it's Everett.
Yeah, I got him ranked higher, but like you said everything perfectly, Hopper. It's they're not even going to be 4th or 5th on this totem pole, and they both eat into each other's work. Neither one of them, I think, had over 5 receptions or 5 targets last year.
Nope.
So, I mean, it's they like Higbee, they like Everett. I do agree with you, though, Nick. I think you will see more uptick in the red zone. I just don't trust the tight ends here until they use them more.
I mean, he's 26th in my ranking, so I'm not like...
Yeah, I know. I have him at 32. I mean, I'm not high on either of them.
I think this is the year we start seeing flashes from him, though, and he'll have like a random 2-touchdown game and start getting on people's radar. So I think he will start to kind of turn into maybe that Jimmy Graham all red zone target type role, and we'll start seeing that more in 2019.
It's a dynasty flash.
Oh yeah,
if one of them gets hurt, I like the other one. I will definitely be well more intrigued. I think with just one there, you can see a low end to mid streamer with some value in deeper leagues.
Travis?
Yeah, I'm not drafting either one of these guys in redraft, honestly. In Dynasty, though, I'll take Gerald Everett. Largely because he was the handpicked choice of the new regime, and he's showed some flashes already.
Yep, that does matter.
I agree.
All right. Anything else before we ring the bell on the LA Rams or St. Louis Rams as we'd prefer?
We have a bell now?
I mean, it's just a phrase. You can add a bell if you'd like.
You didn't,
there you go.
You didn't tell me to do this beforehand. I don't have one handy.
All right.
That's not a bell.
Let's move on to the...
There you go. Closer. Here we go.
Dong.
Yeah, we can't hear that.
And moving on.
Moving on to the
And goes
San Francisco 49ers. Bit of a mixed bag at last year. Running back and tight end both finished top 12. Quarterback and wide receiver were kind of middle of the pack. Let's start off at the top, though. They paid Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason. What do we project for him in 2018?
Shit, looking at the wrong team. Somebody else go.
His ADP is 809, and I want nothing of it.
There we go.
Yeah, that's
7
gross.
career games. 5 career starts, or 5 starts last year for him. 7 touchdowns, 5 picks.
And his points per game is under 17 for those 7 games.
And they didn't add a true number 1 receiver.
Because he doesn't throw touchdowns. The head coach prefers to pass. Since 2013, he's averaged under 430 rush attempts. So that's usually, if you're getting a pretty good split, you're looking at about 450 on the ground or so.
Yeah.
So it's on average. So it's definitely a passing preferred. I expect them to be more competitive as they did not lose after the Jimmy Garoppolo started starting, which I think shifts them more to kind of a running team in a sense. If they're more competitive, if they're playing ahead, they're not going to be throwing to catch up from behind as much.
Well, I'm not sure they're going to be a running team, though, because they have Jerick McKinnon and a bunch of maybes.
Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying that they're going to try to play defense and run the football. I'm saying they're not going to completely go away from the run like they did at times.
I'm just saying,
year.
don't draft Garoppolo in the 8th round.
No, don't do that.
I mean, he's my
don't do
QB
that.
18, and it's amazing what winning your first 7 games can do to you. I mean, that's great, but from a fantasy perspective,
You don't get points for wins.
he averaged 1 pick per start last year. So
Yep, but 7 interceptable passes, 8 danger plays. But, I will say this. They did throw the ball over 600 times last season.
yeah,
And I expect some marginal improvements from that defense. But if they were still in the 580 range as far as pass attempts, I would not be surprised. And volume matters.
I like Garoppolo. I don't
like him in the 8th round.
I hate his ADP now.
You give him to me a round later, I might start thinking about it. 10 or 11, definitely yes, but not in 8.
And he's a
The
streamer.
love has gone a little too far. And we were talking Superflex, dude, and especially in Dynasty, he's going at like QB 6 right now.
Yeah, it's insane.
And
It's insane.
He's 26
But
years
I
old
will
already.
say-
He's not like 22 or 23. He's 26. He's on his 2nd contract.
That's all right.
Ancient. Send him
I'm
to
not worried about the
Send him
age.
to the nursing home.
Well, no, I'm saying strictly
Yeah.
I will say this,
for like
though.
Dynasty. People are freaking out about it being the next big thing. It's like he's not a.
At least it's not like
rookie.
Deshaun Watson.
Quarterbacks
level.
can play until they're 37 or 38, though. It's not a running back.
Right.
You're right. It's just people are trying to buy him like they're the hot new young thing, and it's like he's already into his.
But
into
he's
his
so
late 20s.
sexy.
He's really sexy. So he started those 5 games. So the pro Jimmy G argument is out of those 4 out of those 5 games that he started, he threw for over 290 yards. So touchdowns are a fickle beast, and you could chalk that up to that and say, he was putting up the volume and hope that those touchdowns come. But I mean, as far as what you guys were saying, I mean, they haven't really added that many pass catching playmakers to really, to make you think that is going to change. So I like him. I think the upside is there, but in a single QB redraft league, I'm not taking him in the 8th round.
No.
They get Garcon back, so that is kind of,
And they added Pettis.
in a way, an addition. And they added Pettis.
Richie James.
And Richie James, who we like here as well. And we like Marquise Goodwin, but there's nobody that you look at and you're like, okay, that's a top-tier talent. Garcon's on the back end of his career, even though he's a super reliable one. We like what we see from Goodwin. He can't stay healthy. We love Pettis, but there's some development questions there. And Richie James, we love out of the slot. But they've got 3 slot receivers, so who the hell knows?
Speaking, which one of them is Pettis.
All right, and just so we don't have a repeat of the Brian Hoyer experience from last year, let's move on.
We're not drunk, like
let's
super drunk for this
Yeah,
one.
we were loving on Brian Hoyer.
You were loving on Brian Hoyer.
Dan was too.
I was too.
He showed up early, and I convinced him to do it with me.
All right, moving on to Jerick McKinnon. He was 25th in points per game last year. He's currently going at 210 in average draft position, 14th running back off the board. Do you think that's a fair price for Jerick McKinnon in 2018? Travis.
No.
Thank you.
I'm not. So I'm honestly. I'm not as much on the hate wagon as I was, but I'm not touching him in the second round at all. And so I really was not into the Jerick McKinnon hype at all. And then the draft rolled around, and I mean, I like to think that I can remain open-minded. And when you don't draft a single running back in the NFL draft, that means something to me. So he's definitely gone up, but I'm not on the camp that thinks he's going to be this workhorse running back and be a top 10 running back in fantasy at the end of the year. So I'm really not touching him in the second round. I'm going to go elsewhere with my draft pick.
So the thing that I've noticed with McKinnon and where he's been landing is it's kind of after you get out of the Fournettes and Kareem Hunts of the world, but he's going before Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with. We're not opening that can of worms here, Travis.
Is this PPR?
Yeah.
Half point.
Half point. So, but 25th in yards created while only being 34th in carries. That's something. He's kind of the perfect Kyle Shanahan type of back. And I think that even though you look at McKinnon and you say, okay, I don't see him being a workhorse, you look at the offense that he landed in, and that's what's making me salivate over this. Now, do I think he's worth the 13th running back? No. 14 to 16? Sure. Yeah, I do. They've improved the offensive line. They love to hand the ball off in the red zone. You look at the way that Breida and Joe Williams profile. I mean, they don't really have a banger on this roster. So, to me, the volume, I think they're going to try to get him the ball in space, work him outside, let him use that spark-laden athletic profile, and actually play. So he's very intriguing. And if I go running back at the top, I don't mind him. If I go running back wide receiver at the top, and he somehow falls to the third when everybody starts hating on him as the season wears on, then I'm down for that too.
I'm more so.
You think he's going to drop as we get closer? Because I think he might rise.
I think that for as many people as there are like me that like him, there's going to be a lot of people out there throwing cautionary tales also, because when you look into his numbers, when you deep dive in, and especially when you get stats guys in there looking at it, that you can definitely paint an argument for him being a bust. And I think that the effect of podcast and the fantasy community is real for driving hype and killing it. And I think there might be enough naysayers to drive it down a little bit.
Okay, so he's my RB16, and you touched on it slightly from time to time. It's his efficiency, which worries me. He's been under 4 yards per carry for the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
And also just his juke rate, 23.8%. His breakaway rate is only 3.3%. And, if he's going to make his day with low efficiency, you're going to have big plays to get that going. And the 1.33 yards created per carry, which is only 24th, which isn't bad, but he also doesn't look great against all 3 levels, of his fronts, stack, base, and light. And he's only had, I think, 8 career goal line carries. Mm-hmm. And he's never been the main guy. And Jeremy McNichols is maybe the only guy that profiles as the banner back, and he's not that much of a banner anyways, and he has to make the team. I just don't like him going in the second round. I have him as a 4th round pick for me personally.
As your 16th running back?
As an early 4th. He's the first pick in the 4th round.
Okay, I've got him in the third. As my 16th.
You could
overall player.
Late 3rd, early 4th. Yeah,
he's more of a mid-3rd for me. My big argument against him is he's never had more than 202 touches ever. And there's been seasons where Peterson was gone after week 2, and he was basically him.
He couldn't beat Matt Asiata.
No, yeah, he could not beat Matt Asiata. I just don't see how he can profile as a 3-down back. The reason he's my 16th too is because I ran out of names to put in front of him.
Also, keep in mind the fact that when he could beat Matt Asiata, nobody could freaking run behind that O-line. He couldn't even keep your quarterback upright.
This is true, but
Yeah.
So
I don't know how great San Francisco's O-line. I think it's
should be
average.
They added McGlinchey, so they should
Yeah.
be better.
It should be a little bit better.
They'll get Joe Staley back, I think, who got hurt last year.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Toward triceps.
I like Kyle Shanahan, but
Yeah, I like him more than I think he was going to be last year. It's a great landing spot for him. It was a massive boost to his dynasty stock, but I think the hype's gotten a little too high on him.
I agree.
All right, moving on. Let's figure out who his best pairing is because, as we've kind of established, he's not going to get all the work. Who do you like better between Matt Breida and Joe Williams?
Breida.
McNichols. I seriously think. I do.
We're back on this.
Yes.
Fuck yeah! I ain't giving that
We've
shit
come
up.
full circle.
Here we go.
I mean, Joe Williams is hype. Well, yes.
Let's go in the way
Kyle
back
Shanahan-
machine.
Kyle Shanahan loves Joe Williams for some reason, but I think McNichols, who better profiles as the first, second down back, not saying that he will, I think could have value in this offense if he gets the touches.
We'll see how well that ages.
Okay,
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
because Matt Breida is, a whole bunch of hype there, and he's
I mean,
massively inefficient.
he's 1307 in ADP, so there's not a
Yeah, I
ton
know.
of hype.
He's not exactly hyped up, but you're asking me who I like best to complement McKinnon. It's Matt Breida.
Travis?
Literally based on the way he's built.
Yeah, I'll go Breida. McNichols couldn't make his first team.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
saying best match and pair. I don't know if he'll make the team, but McNichols is.
Well, we're acting to take out that crystal ball and make a prediction. All right, I also am going to go with Breida here. He's 46th in my rankings. I just think he'll pair better with McKinnon than he did Hyde, even because Hyde won't. McKinnon will take less work than Hyde did.
Yep.
All right, on to the receiving core. Three big names I starred here were Garcon, Goodwin, and Pettis, though you could also make an argument for Taylor, and they got a few other guys too, Richie James, and who's the other one who's blowing up in camp? I'm drawing a blank right now. Let me pull up the depth chart.
Okay.
When did it become so crowded there?
Kendrick Bourne.
Okay.
Bless you.
Who you like in there, and who are you going to be targeting in drafts?
Pierre Garcon. And
Marquise Goodwin is my boy.
Same here.
I love Marquise Goodwin, but with Garcon, 5.75 targets a game, 7.37 without. Partially that's due to Jimmy Garoppolo. They threw more. He did have a pretty terrible catchable target rate, but Goodwin's played one healthy season since coming into the league, and even then he was still nicked up last year. He played with like a bad back, I think a hamstring, and something else throughout the season. I like Marquise Goodwin.
You're the
You
highest.
guys that
yeah.
will remember, I was tooting for him last year.
Yep.
But you got Garcon, who saw 8.3 targets a game, which I think may stay about level. Jimmy Garoppolo, 9.7 yards per attempt last year. As far as distance traveled, that kind of fits Garcon's game, who had 9.8 yards per target, while Goodwin was working the field deep. I think that for Garoppolo, he's a very accurate thrower, especially mid to short range, that Pierre Garcon is just a better fit. I like Marquise Goodwin. I love Marquise Goodwin, especially in best ball. I really do. But if I'm going redraft and going Garcon, what's the ADPs, Dan?
Garcon 6'10", Goodwin's 905. Also, Garcon
Ooh.
didn't play with Jimmy G at all last year, and
Nope.
you got to see a nice little chemistry built between Jimmy G and Goodwin, which is why I like Goodwin. I think Goodwin has a chance to supplant Garcon as the number one option on this team.
And I would love to see it happen.
Pierre Garcon's a 6th round pick.
Yeah, he's 6'10".
The ADP kind of changes that for me.
It does.
As far as I have it ranked on productivity, I like Garcon, but if you tell me that I can get Goodwin at the 905,
Done deal.
yeah, I would rather do that.
All right, and then are you going
Marquise
to?
Goodwin had the second highest yards per reception in the league last year amongst players with over 100 targets.
Yep.
Which I mean, you could view that as, oh well, he's a pretty boomer bust then, right? He's this downfield guy, but
No,
man, I mean,
he wasn't though.
I really feel like he showed a lot last year that he's not that limited player. I think he can play in multiple areas of the field, and I really, really like the guy. I know. Have you guys heard his story at all? You should look it up if you haven't.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
And everything he went through last year and whatnot. Like, I love the character. And I want to see him succeed. And I was happy that he did well last year, not just because I called for it and it happened, but
That helps, though.
that does help.
He likes his ego when he gets, or he likes
But
his stroked ego.
it's all good for Garoppolo, though, with those two.
Yeah. I have Garcon ranked slightly higher, but at the price they're going at, I'm taking Goodwin.
I have him eight spots apart. So yeah, I have Garcon slightly higher too.
I do also, but the ADP
Oh,
makes
it's-
me want to wait on Goodwin more.
Definitely.
What do you guys think about Trent Taylor?
I would have liked him more if they didn't draft
Dante Pettis
2 slot receivers and
Richie James. That to me, the fact that they took Pettis and Richie James tells me that they weren't sold on Trent Taylor as much as we were.
Yeah, they spent a second on Pettis when they just drafted Trent Taylor in the 5th the previous year. They weren't. It doesn't seem like that they're that high on him.
So you guys view Pettis as a slot receiver?
He could be. He can run out of all 3 spots.
Yeah, I think he's got to be. I don't think you put him outside because that's kind of Goodwin's role.
Unless you want to move
and Garcon.
Garcon into the slot.
You could put Garcon in the slot, yeah.
I mean, I think he'll be battling for that 3rd spot with Trent Taylor to start the season, but I think Pettis is a guy, especially if the Niners take a leap in that passing offense, and that does happen, I think Pettis is a decent, maybe later season, if he can get going, because they love Pettis there. I mean, they traded up to get him.
They took him at 211.
Yeah. They traded up to get him.
That was insane.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be a third rounder.
That was
for
pretty
sure.
nuts. I agree.
The fact that Pettis went over a round before Gallup did just blew my mind.
And he was he did break the college football record for punt return touchdown. So if you play in a punt return league or just a yards return league, he's got some value there too.
Yep, he's 67th in my rankings. He's not on draft ADP currently, but I think he could surprise us with how quickly he contributes.
Can we get to a guy I really want to talk about?
All right, go off with George Kittle.
George Kittle.
Love Kittle.
George Kittle.
Saw about 4 targets a game with Jimmy Garoppolo starting, which should be due to increase. 81% catch rate over that time, which is absolutely absurd. But that's what Garoppolo is, and that's the type of game that Kittle plays. They fit really well together. He had 16 red zone and 6 end zone targets. It was more than any receiver on this team. ADP.
1004, which is
give me that.
pretty
please.
much right after all the main guys go, which is your top 8, 9.
Yeah,
Depending on where you want to put Burton in that conversation.
He's the 11th tight end off the board.
If he can stay healthy, because he battled with injuries all last year, but him and Jimmy G are just in love, and I absolutely love George Kittle.
Are you shipping Jimmy G and George Kittle?
I'm shipping
Jimmy
him.
G for a reason. It's not Jimmy Garoppolo. It's Jimmy George or JK.
I see
Jimmy Kittle.
him in the
I
58,
don't understand the
750 in the 50,
There is no reference.
50 plus receptions, 750 yards, 5 to 6 touchdown range, which is back in tight end 1.
750 yards.
That might be
One more
more.
time.
That'd be close to about 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought for a second you said 1,150 yards,
Yeah.
I mean, he
and I was about
could.
to crown you as the new George Kittle truther.
Nah, 750.
All right.
That's still pretty damn good.
It is, but I think he's the 3rd receiving option on this team, and I love him as a red zone threat, and they do too. He's about the only person they threw to in the red zone last year.
Yeah, I love Kittle. I don't really have anything more to add.
All right.
I'm drafting him 10th round for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and do a beer review then.
Beer review.
Remix.
That was odd. Hey, can I have another one?
We were ready for the beer review. The drop was not. All right. Well, first off, Travis, you have a Mr. Pineapple Wheat. How about you give us a review
Sounds
of that?
Amazing.
I do, yeah. Mr. Pineapple Wheat Beer from Santan Brewing Company here in Chandler, Arizona. And I'm going to do a Dan review. It's good.
All right. Well, if we can
He's
ever-
efficient. That's why.
If we're
It's
done-
a great review. As Hopper is about ready to choke on his beer.
I rolled it because there's a bunch of sediment sitting at the bottom of the other can, and I opened it too fast. So if you're watching
No,
on
this,
YouTube, you just got treated to something.
Yeah, timestamp that in the description if you can. Hopper almost dies to beer.
Hopper drowns in beer.
All right, so we'll try to pick that up if we do get down to Arizona at some point, because I'm guessing it's probably a pretty small distribution on that. What do you
It
guys?
is the largest. It's the largest Arizona craft brewery.
Okay. Do you know how far out the distribution is?
I don't.
Okay.
We'll look
I
that
know
up.
I got it at the gas station down the street, though.
There you go.
That's a good
That's
start.
always a good start.
That's a good start
And they
for large
only-
distribution.
All of their beer is canned. They don't do bottles at all.
That's
So
that's starting to get
was
more
pretty-
common.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right. And what do you guys think of Four Hands Ripple White Ale? Also another brewery. I'm pretty sure that only does cans for 6-packs.
It's a very summery taste. It's kind of got that farmhouse weediness to it on flavor, which I think is probably orange zest or orange peel normally. Well, it says ale with orange on the front of the can. So, yeah, it seems to be a pretty adequate description. But really light, good summer drinker. Sorry, I'm staring.
I know. I just love
I said that based on the taste, and then I looked at the can and saw there was an orange on it. So.
All right. Well, while he's pulling his foot out of his mouth, anything to add, Dan?
I mean, I'm not the world's biggest fan of white ales because I'm not a huge fan of the skunky taste, and which is very light and faint. It's there, but it's very drinkable, and it's for this hot summer day we got right now, which is what, like 97 outside,
Yeah.
Something absurd like
something
that.
absurd. It's
104 in the studio.
it's extremely refreshing to drink, and as Dan would say, it's good.
Yep, big fan of the Ripple White Ale. Thank you so much for coming on again, Four Hands. You are now on timeout unless you want to pay us, though, because we need to get some other breweries on.
Yeah, we do.
All right, let's go ahead and kick off with the Seattle Seahawks. We predicted to finish third here. I think the general assessment here, we think the defense is going to take a step back, right?
Oh, yeah. I agree. Yep.
I think it leap back, not just a step, a leap.
It's going to fall down a
Yeah.
cliff.
There we were running on one of those little bungee cords that you train on, and they hit the end of it, and it's just going to get yanked straight back. They might fall over if they don't keep their feet under them.
All right, do you feel similar about that, Travis?
Oh, for sure. And I think the offense takes a step back, too.
All right, well, let's kick it off then with Russell Wilson, who kind of runs this
Russell
entire
Wilson.
offense. Travis, where do you have him in your rankings if you're thinking they're going to take a step back?
Oh, well, man, I love Russell Wilson. In redraft, man, I'd probably, I mean, he's still definitely top 5. I'd probably have him in that 3 range.
So behind Brady and Rodgers?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't have redraft rankings. I'm more of a dynasty guy, but
Well, what's he
Somewhere-
ranked in
somewhere in there
Dynasty
for
for
sure.
you?
For your Superflex rankings, which quarterback is he?
he's 2.
Well, that's where we got him.
For Superflex Dynasty, he's 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. He was second in points per game last year at 25.7, only behind Deshaun Watson's short run. He's the third quarterback going off the board. He's 6.01 in ADP, though. The top 2 guys, Watson and Rodgers, are going in the 4th.
Fucking Watson.
How the hell is
Dude.
Watson all the way
Watson
up
was
there?
a 3rd round pick for like a week and a half in ADP.
That
It was
makes-
insane.
That makes me sick. Makes me legitimately sick to my stomach. I'm
And-
not going to go into that rant again.
It's crazy.
We'll save that for the AFC South
Yeah.
Oh.
next week.
It'll be the same one that anybody that listens to the show has heard 17 times already.
Okay, they're probably just greatest hits for you at this point.
They are.
You just got to roll them out every couple shows.
This is actually not Hopper talking. This is just his
It's
greatest hits album on
It's a
repeat.
pre-recorded drop. It's my mixtape, and it's fire.
and we're just recording over it.
He's my QB too, and I think with how bad this defense is going to be, and just with the increase of the opponents he gets to play, most of them have good offenses. I think he's going to be in for another nice season.
Yep, I love shootout Russell Wilson. He's amazing.
I also love shootout Russell Wilson.
I love when he
He's
runs
probably
around.
my favorite player to watch.
He is.
Oh, he is.
He's so
much
frustrating,
fun.
but he's also
He
fun.
had like worse talent last year, ish kind of, especially outside the 20s, because you know how bad Graham is outside the 20s. So, and we get to see maybe a Darbo.
All right. Well, before we get to the receiving group, let's go ahead and hit up this running game. They draft Rashad Penny in the first round for some reason.
Right.
What do you guys have him in your redraft rankings this year?
25. You know where he's going? 311.
17th running back off the board.
Hold
yeah,
on.
it's insane. That's because of Pete Carroll, who is the Hall of Fame coach speak. So the fact that he's getting hyped up to be a 3-down
This is
back.
24.
This is really hard for me because in Dynasty, I'm not. I mean, especially in rookie drafts, I'm not touching Rashad Penny. I don't believe that he's going to be a long-term top Dynasty, running back asset. But in redraft, man, it's really hard to make an argument against the volume.
Yep.
And that's really what it comes down to for me is I really think they're going to feed the crap out of the ball to this guy.
I could see him doing that, but I'm also concerned the fact that Carson, Procise, Davis, all these guys are still there.
They're all
yeah,
just
but-
a guy, though, and that's the
well,
thing. They're all just a guy.
So is Penny
That's what
until
I'm
he
saying.
does
If you
something.
combine,
True.
if you combine the draft capital for all of those other guys, you still wouldn't have Rashad Penny.
You're right. I mean, if a running back is going to take this and actually be a workhorse, Penny is the guy. But I'm still just a little
I mean,
concerned.
they wanted to take him at what their first pick, like before they traded it down. Like they wanted him at like, was it pick
18?
15 or whatever it was?
Yeah.
So they're in love with him. And
Don't get it. The team's run about 100 less times per season since Marshawn Lynch left, and the defense is depleted, so they're not going to be able to ground and pound like they want to. So, I mean, volume arguments, sure, they can be there, but it's still not going to be exceptional volume, I don't think, because I don't think that they're going to be in a position to run the ball as much as they want to run the ball.
Yeah, I agree. I got him at 22nd in my ranking, so he's more of a fifth
I'm the
rounder for
lowest
me.
on him. I love it.
So he's probably like I'd like to take him in the early fifth round, and he's going
Yeah.
late third.
I'm not going to own him at that spot at all.
So, someone else can
I'm
roll his
not.
dice. I own him in a dynasty league
not
because
gonna own
for some reason he fell to 110 in a rookie draft that was one quarterback, so I own him.
I wouldn't be shocked if he busts this year at all. Because of what you guys said with Chris Carson and CJ Procise. They love CJ Procise.
Yeah, they do. And as long as he stays healthy.
I love CJ Procise.
Well, that's a good transition then. Let's go ahead and talk about Chris Carson and CJ Procise. Which one are you putting your money on if you have to take a secondary back here?
CJ Procise, as long as he's not in the infirmary.
So by training camp, we'll no longer be on CJ Procise.
Depends, is he hurt or not?
But that's what I'm... never mind. Travis, what do you think of these two?
Procise and Carson, not me and Dan.
Sorry. Man, do I want, I don't know. I mean, we're talking redraft here. I'm not probably going to draft either.
I mean, we're assuming like super deep leagues where you start taking these type of dart throws.
I love CJ Procise, but I'll probably take Chris Carson.
I was going to say, anytime we ask something like that, it's like, yeah, I don't want either of them. It's a gun to your head decision.
Yes. You have no choice. Pick one.
That's tough. I mean, in Dynasty, if I had to pick between the two, I'm taking Procise still.
Yeah.
I definitely agree in Dynasty. In redraft, half point or full point PPR, I'm still probably going Procise too, just because I think he'll still have a role, even with Penny there, if he's healthy, where Carson, I think, is more going to be a Penny handcuff.
Yep.
What about the prolific J.D. McKissick, though, Nick?
I like McKissick.
Oh, Jesus.
But he's blocked.
Not anymore.
You know what JD
Yeah.
stands for? Just don't.
Aw.
That's good. I thought you were going to go with just a dude.
Oh, that would have worked also. I actually like that more. It's a lot more
Either
hip,
way.
a lot cooler.
All right. Well, we don't need to talk about just a dude McKissick. Let's move on. Doug Baldwin. Where do you guys have him in your rankings this season?
Wide receiver 11.
Yeah, where did I initially have him? He'll be higher than what this is, though. And I originally had him at wide receiver. Wait for it. I can scroll up. Wait for it.
Jesus, all the suspense.
This makes terrible podcasting.
Jesus.
Travis, where do you got Baldwin sitting at, or where are you thinking of taking him?
Yeah, I think I love Doug Baldwin. I have every year for the last three years, basically, but I've got him probably in that 10 to 14 range.
I would like to take the time to address a common misconception, by the way.
Oh?
First off,
Okay.
I know that Doug Baldwin's a virtual lock for a ton of targets. Graham vacated 96 of them. He's going to get his. There's some people out there that says Marty Schottenheimer offense doesn't love wide receivers, and that he's never had a wide receiver one. Well, when you look at those rosters, his top target getters consisted of such prolific wide receivers as Chris Givens, Jericho Cotchery, Jeremy Curley,
Oh, God.
who always does it somehow, Braylon Edwards,
Oh, Braylon
and
Edwards.
the corpse of Santonio Holmes.
And the corpse of Braylon Edwards.
So for every...
Hey, I've heard of all those guys.
Yes, I know all those names, rather than,
Oh.
unlike some of the lists you've done.
Yeah, no, I've heard all of them. This isn't a stop me when you've heard somebody. This is, okay, tell me why those guys weren't wide receiver ones in fantasy
No
football.
shit.
I mean, Doug Baldwin's been a wide receiver one consistently year in, year out. And yes, I get the knock on Schottenheimer, but at the same time, when you don't have a guy that's talented enough to be a fantasy wide receiver one, I don't care if you're freaking Sean McVay running the offense or Kyle Shanahan as the offensive coordinator. You're not going to make him a wide receiver one.
I mean, they could literally not implement a passing game and just tell Wilson that this is a passing play, just go run something.
And he'll do it.
We've seen
And
it.
Baldwin would still finish as a top 15 wide receiver.
We've seen it.
With Graham gone and the defense depleted, I honestly think that Doug Baldwin's probably in for a career year. More throwing, more red zone opportunity. I feel great about Doug Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my 10. He's not. He's just after my top 9 elite tier. He's the next guy by himself.
I moved Cooper ahead of him just when I was doing my Cooper diving.
Oh, he'll definitely be ahead of Cooper.
That'll
for
be a
me.
fun discussion
They're one
on
part.
Wednesday's episode.
Yeah, Wednesdays.
Okay, anything else? What do you guys think of Lockett?
No.
Just no.
Just no. I don't want it. I think that Brandon Marshall benefits from the vacated Jimmy Graham targets and is the other primary red zone target. Lockett's never been consistent. He flashes. Good luck at guessing when that's going to happen. I still like Darbo if I'm putting my money on somebody being a consistent third receiver here.
Yeah, I'm with you
Man,
guys. I don't like him that much.
I don't want a third receiver in this offense because they've never produced a third wide receiver.
He'll get his chance
They've
at
never
least.
really
kind
produced
of.
a second.
No, they haven't. But with Jimmy Graham
Unless
gone,
you're getting the tight end, yeah.
I don't think that they produce a second in this one either, by the way. I think Brandon Marshall's probably a 4 at best.
Yeah.
But
Lockett's got the upside, but I mean, just the odds of him actually hitting to the point where he is a consistent flex option for you, I think are pretty low.
Well, does this help at all? He's going 1306.
no.
All right.
Well, I mean, I don't expect him to go much higher anyways.
No, it doesn't. Give me Tanner McAvoy.
All right. And then any other, are you taking a dart throw on Darbo or anything in a super deep league?
Yes.
He's watch.
I'll take Darbo at 1306.
Okay. And just plan on churning it immediately when he does
redraft?
nothing?
I still take Lockett ahead of him, but
I would too.
I would definitely watch list Darbo because we like him here.
All right. And then
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Travis
go
wants
ahead.
to say something, Nick. God damn
I'm
it.
sorry. Darbo's borderline rosterable in Dynasty, in my opinion.
Oh.
I'm not touching him in redraft at all.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't either. I was being a little bit facetious towards my hate of Tyler Lockett, which is something I like to do.
All right. And
Fair enough.
to wrap up the Seahawks here, I would probably get shanked if I didn't mention your favorite tight end.
Nick freaking Vanette. And it turns out I
How
am
the
not.
fuck did this happen?
I was looking at the roster. I was looking at sizes. I was looking for anything I liked for a potential breakout. And I just was like, yep, give me that guy. And I tweeted it out. And
Yeah,
all of
you
a sudden,
did.
I've got like 7 people in the comments on that. They're like, yeah, I'm on that hype train too. So I'm not alone. I'm going to give the edge to him. He's only 24. He's a big bodied guy. Dixon's never really been much of a threat as a receiver. Disley's more of a blocker. They haven't signed a Jimmy Graham replacement, and Nick Vanette, at least in size, is close to Jimmy Graham. And he, per player profiler, has 106% catchable target rate. So
we joked about that when we read that.
I don't know how that works, but he's had more catchable targets than he's had balls thrown to him. So give me that guy all day.
the correct
so
answer
I
is
actually-
nobody here, but go ahead,
I
Travis.
really, really like Nick Vanette.
Yes, it grows.
And so we were in a Dynasty auction startup together, and I was down to like my last couple bucks, and I threw Nick Vanette out
Love it.
in this 2 tight end league, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get him for $1. And somebody outbid me for $2, and I've never been more upset about something in my entire life.
Yeah,
I could not bid 3, and I was pissed.
I wish I had-
lost Nick Vanette.
I wish I had done this deep dive into Seattle before we did that draft because I had enough money at the end of it to where I could have got him.
Vanette was a guy I had starred as this is going to be a $1 player for me at the end of this draft. And then that happened, and I went, son of a bitch.
I'm
fine.
a little sad that I didn't get to see it.
And dude, I actually went and offered that guy a 3rd round pick, and he wouldn't give him to me.
There it is. Hype train. It's
Let's start it.
leaving the state. It's already going.
Well, no,
Yeah.
we
Wave goodbye.
started. We
Wave
started
goodbye.
it. You gotta
All that
you gotta
being
roll it
said,
down.
We're not drafting him in redraft, are we?
We're not drafting any of these tight ends. in the draft.
He's another one of those. So I have my philosophy towards redraft this year, if you haven't heard it yet, is that I think if you don't get the first 8 to 9 guys or one of them, that you just wait till the very end of your draft. You pick 2 guys and then wait to see you can pick up on the waiver wire and stream.
Yeah, and hope you hit.
Yep. Nick Vanette would strongly be.
Vince McDonald.
Yeah, No.
W-
Nick Vanette would strongly be in consideration for one of those 2 late round flyers, and I'm like, okay, give me him, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's on the list with guys like OJ Howard and Njoku, a lot of the rookies from last year, Shaheen, those type of guys. Ebron, Doyle,
Michael Roberts.
Yeah, Michael Roberts.
I would rather just draft somebody else and then pick him up.
That would work too.
I mean, no one's going to draft him unless all 4 of us are in the league.
Oh, we're gonna get this hype train going so fast and so hard that he's gonna jump up into the 8th round.
Yep. Next week he'll show up on FF.
And then once he blows up, we'll get all the mentions.
All right. Cardinals, one last team here. We think they are going to finish last in the division, though. I think it'll be a decently tough fight for bottom 3 here. I don't love any of the bottom 3 teams in this division. Overall, offense was pretty putrid last year outside of wide receiver, thanks to Fitzgerald keeping that up. What do you guys think of Sam Bradford, Josh Rosen? Do you want either one of them?
No, because I think Bradford will be okay for the first couple weeks until he breaks, and Rosen's going to be, he's a rookie quarterback, and I think he'll be okay, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to roster in one QB redraft.
It's also not going to be great weapons.
No, it's not, and Mike McCoy.
How dare you?
So Steve Wilkes comes in as a defensive-minded coach. Mike McCoy likes to pass the ball, but he will switch to the run whenever the passing options aren't there or his quarterback's not that great or whatever. This offense runs through David Johnson as long as he doesn't break, so I don't want either quarterback.
I like Sam Bradford if you can stay healthy. As just a streaming option. I mean, he's not draftable because there's no reason to roster him. But I think it's not just with his health. It's if the Cardinals struggle to win games, I think they'll eventually go to Josh Rosen, and which makes them, you don't draft either of them, and you just kind of wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think we have to spend that much more time on this.
Nope.
Since you got something else.
David Johnson.
I'm not drafting either one of the quarterbacks in redraft. No.
Even in 2Q quarterback, I probably wouldn't take either one.
In 2QB, I'm taking Sam Bradford.
Yeah, I'd take Bradford in 2QB.
David Johnson's my running back 4. I don't see any volume issues. He's involved in the passing game, and he's a running down workout horse. He's not going to get game scripted out.
Yeah, my only concern with him is I'm not
solidified.
sure how great the offense is going to be, so touchdown opportunity might be limited.
That's exactly why he ended up below Zeke for me.
So yeah, he's also my 4.
He's my 3. I think he'll get more pass, just with the passing upside in that offense, and just with what he's proven to us already. I don't think it matters with how bad this offense may be. Fitz and Bradford they're not on par with what Palmer and Bradford or with what Palmer and Fitz did, but a healthy Bradford is up there with what Palmer can do. So I don't really see much of a difference.
All right.
Yeah, I think the difference is Bradford's always been this guy that gets the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible. And Arians is gone. Arians was that 7-step drop, air it out deep down the field offense, and that's no longer going to be the offense that the Cardinals have. So I think and especially with Mike McCoy, I mean, he's shown in the past that he caters his offenses towards what his players can do.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a much more horizontal passing attack, and I think that benefits both David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald, as well as
Christian Kirk.
Man, don't even get me started on Christian Kirk. I love Christian Kirk.
Well, we're about to get started on Christian Kirk right after we quick talk here about who the handcuff is to David Johnson. Are we putting our money on Chase Edmonds?
Sure.
All the hype says so.
Yeah.
It's Edmonds.
It's Edmonds.
It's got to be Edmonds.
There's no one behind him.
It's
It's TJ Logan.
Well, TJ Logan is a guy that you can use as a receiver and a returner. He's explosive in space, but I don't want to run him behind the tackles.
Yeah, whereas Edmonds
And
is
this might just be coach speak, but they're already talking about how if David Johnson goes down, they wouldn't have to change their offense at all.
Yeah. The hype on Edmonds is starting to that's
he's
shit's
already
rising.
the RB2 on their depth chart.
Well, yeah, but that's
he's got a great skill set to him. I don't think he's as explosive
And he was
as
a
Johnson
workhorse.
is,
I mean, obviously, it was a small school,
but I think
So is David Johnson.
his skill set's good enough. So
So yeah, Edmonds is a guy I actually like a lot. If anything happened, even if there's like a rumor that something is wrong with Johnson, just grab Chase Edmonds during the season. Larry Fitzgerald, he was 6 in points per game last year. Were you guys taking him in your drafts this season?
his ADP is my actual ADP for him at the 308. He's my wide receiver 17. I think he's going to get the volume. It's just where is he going to line up on the field? Is he going to move outside with Kurt? now potentially in the slot, are they going to try to have Chad Williams and who else is there? Bryce Butler be a thing where Kurt has to work himself onto the field. Either way, Fitz is going to be, Fitz and get you everything you need.
His catch percentage went up 10 points when he moved to the slot from playing outside and started drawing nickel coverage. So I think if he moves outside, it does hurt him some. Just because he's older, he's kind of lost his step, and I think he's more of a technician that should be playing inside than outside right now. I love Larry Fitzgerald. He's consistently year in, year out a safe wide receiver to own. Now, Brandon Marshall and Demaryius Thomas are the two most prolific receivers that McCoy has had as an offensive coordinator. They average 8.8 and 9.6 targets a game. So probably a slight regression from what Fitzgerald was seeing last year, which I think was like 9.8 or something ridiculous. But it shouldn't be too heavy. So I still think he's a very safe option. I love him in PPR. I like him in half PPR.
Yeah, I think he's going a little higher than I'd like. He's going at the 308. I'd prefer him more in
That's
the
like,
early fourth.
Yeah, and like I said the same thing. I'm like, I think that's too high. And then I checked my rankings, and it's right where I have them. I'm like, okay, so it's on the higher end of probably where I would decide to. But I mean, it depends who's available at the time.
I also know what I'm going to get out of Fitz, and at that point, I'm generally shooting for a little bit. Like I want to try to get somebody.
I think if he does play outside, though, I think it does increase. I agree with Harper that it'll lower his floor, but I think it may increase his upside if they do decide to try to push the ball downfield at any point.
All right.
If Bradford's the quarterback, I don't see him doing that, though.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other thoughts on Fitzgerald there, Travis?
I mean, other than he's like the greatest of all time. No, no. I mean, I think that's a fair price in redraft. I think I'm definitely taking him in the end of the third for sure. I mean, he's got 3 years in a row with over 100 catches and over 1,000 yards. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think that's accurate.
That sounds about right.
So I mean, you like you said, Nick. I mean, you know what you're going to get, but what you're going to get is, I mean, a top 12 wide receiver.
Most of the time, yeah.
In PPR.
In PPR, yes. In half PPR, I think he's probably in that 14 to 17 range. But in full PPR, yeah, absolutely.
All right. And then any other thoughts on the other pass catchers? Christian Kirk, Chad Williams, Bryce Butler, Ricky Seals-Jones.
So secondary slot type of players end up with 6 to 6.5 per targets in McCoy's offense. So Christian Kirk could very well be like Cooper Kupp plus this year, I think.
We'll let Travis talk about Kurt because he loves him.
I was just going to say real quick, I think that he's definitely going to be the wide receiver 2 in the offense. Ourlads.com, a commonly used depth chart site, has Chad Williams as number 2 still, and that boggles my mind.
I noticed
he was
that.
He was a third round pick last year, so they may.
Ton of hype, and he's been working out with Ochocinco.
Yeah.
And his profile's better as an outside receiver.
He's supposed to be their Fitz replacement.
Yep, and they signed Bryce Butler, so.
Wow, you guys just went crazy on me there for a second. So you guys are Chad Williams truthers.
No, I'm not saying we're truthers. I'm just saying.
No, I'm just kidding. I think Christian Kirk's the number 2 there. I think that there's a chance. I'm not going to go crazy with my homerism here. There's a chance that he's the most productive rookie wide receiver this year. I don't think that's a crazy statement.
Gallup or more?
Which is given the landscape of receivers in this draft where everyone's really, really,
there's a chance.
in love with certain people. Yeah. It's not just a one guy should dominate.
It's not
two
a
guys.
crazy. Yeah, it wouldn't be a crazy thing if that happened. I wouldn't be absolutely shocked.
No, I wouldn't be completely amazed, but it would
If Bradford stay healthy for the whole
surprise
season,
me a little bit.
If he's healthy for the entire season, and if Fitz moved outside, then yeah, I think there's a painted picture you could do.
If you tell me Kirk's their starting slot receivers from day one, then I'm starting to
That's
take
where
that
this.
bet.
I mean,
That's where this whole question comes from.
The thing is one of Bryce Butler or Chad Williams is going to be on the field, or JJ Nelson. One of those 3 is going to be out there. Do I think they're worth much? Yeah, they might flash on occasion if somebody gets hurt, sure, but I don't think they're worth drafting out of the gate.
No.
But one of those 3 will be out there also.
All right. And all good names to know.
And Kurt's being drafted too. His ADP is 1408.
It
Last
is.
spot taken.
All right.
I mean, that's like, what is that? The last or third to last round, depending on how deep your drafts are.
Yeah, I mean that's how far they normally go with.
Man, I'll do
ADP.
that all day. And
Yeah.
I think they keep Fitz in the slot, and I think Kirk plays outside, and maybe that's a difference. And I mean, you guys think, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys don't think Kirk is profiles as an outside receiver.
He's big
and
enough
that's
to
fine.
if he can. I mean, he's
And you
got the
guys
size.
also hate Josh Rosen, so maybe that plays into our difference in the Cardinals' outlook quite a bit.
So,
I hate Josh Rosen long term. Yeah.
all right, enough about the pass catchers here. Any last thoughts on Ricky Seals-Jones before we wrap this one up?
Nope.
Nah.
No.
Yeah, I think he's too much. He's way too much of a hype train on him. I'm passing hard.
Temper
All right.
expectations there.
All right, thank you so much for listening to our NFC West preview here. Travis, thank you so much for coming on. Give us a quick shout out at where we can find you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was fun. You can find me on Twitter at TravisNFL. Check out my podcast, the Superflex Super Show at Superflex Show.
All right. Thank you so much for jumping on. You can find us at BeerfieldFF on Twitter. Individually, I am at Nick Sparts.
I am at 30BFF.
Just confused him. I didn't realize you pointed at me.
Hey, that's
'cause
what
I
I'm
was
doing. I'm
looking
like,
straight ahead.
he says my name, but no,
I
he
am
points at me.
at Hot BFF with 2 P's. Please go give Travis a listen. It's a great show. It's an entertaining time. They're not going to put you to sleep like we probably do sometimes. So go
Especially
check
if you
them
want to
out.
get into Superflex, which is a lot of fun to try out as an alternative league format. Travis, I'm assuming you can give us an endorsement on Superflex.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I appreciate the kind words, guys. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening in, guys. This one ran a little long, but we'll catch you guys next time on Beer Fueled Fantasy Football.
See ya.
Later.
Next time.
Oh, that's cute.